Hello, good evening. What a tough one to follow, right? My name is Amaka Kudinobi. I'm part of the WA Africa group. I'm an attorney and I'm based in Southern California. So my topic that I'll be speaking on today is breaking the silence of the child sexual abuse in Nigeria, a call to action. I would like to start speaking on this topic by it's pretty much a long quote, but it's something that I read in preparing for this presentation, and I believe it's something that I would like to share with everyone. It's from a former Commissioner of Women Affairs and Social Welfare from Ogun State, Nigeria. Her name is Mrs. Folake Marcus Bello. She's also a lawyer. And I believe she says, everyone is chasing one thing or the other that is not lost. From being in religious prayers overnight and dragging the children along, to abandoning the children to housemates and abandoning the children to housemates and nannies while chasing the so-called money and connections. There is a need to reorientate ourselves and make an enabling law to reorientate the family so that the traditional family setup, at the least, the mothers being around the children, and to develop a relationship of trust whereby the children can totally and completely trust their mothers in order to open up at all times. Obviously, fathers are also included in that trust. So having said that, I think I needed that Nigerian juice. That's what it is. So having said that, I'll go into my topic. When we all talk about sexual abuse, particularly in Nigeria, we have to understand what it means. It includes fondling of children, what we generally will call molestation out here, exposing children to pornography, and also to rape, indecent exposure, and the list continues. Let's also understand that all this that I have just mentioned applies not just to the girl child, it also applies to the boy child. And more often than not, when we discuss these issues, we tend to concentrate a lot on the girl child. Again, statistically, we know why we do that, because the girl child is always more in trouble than the boy child, in those things. Does not mean that the boy child doesn't have such issues to deal with. Under Nigerian law, rape, sexual abuse have different definitions, very troubling definitions. Well, in Nigeria, 50% of Nigerians or thereabout, I believe that's what the latest statistic says, are Christians, and we are mostly in the southern part of Nigeria. The other 50% are Muslims, and they're mostly in the northern part of Nigeria. Nigeria has two criminal codes. We have what we call the penal code that applies mostly to northern Nigeria, and the criminal code that applies to southern Nigeria. It's very important to pay attention to these codes, because in these codes we have different definitions of the issues that we are going to discuss today. In northern Nigeria, for example, section 282, subsection 2 of the penal code defines sexual intercourse by a man with his own wife as not rape if she has obtained puberty. The problem with the laws in northern Nigeria is we still have a lot of incidents of early child marriages. So when you have Nigerian Child Rights Act that talks about that you can't marry someone under 18, but when you get to the northern part of Nigeria, children as young as 12, 10 are given up, 11 are given up in marriages. What do we expect to happen? Obviously, If there's sexual intercourse, that child has not given his or her consent. She hasn't. She doesn't have the ability to give that type of consent. Then when we get to southern Nigeria, we now have our almighty criminal code. I call it a web because we have all these laws that define sexual abuse, rape, in different, apply in different ages. In Nigeria, if you have sex with a child under 13, it's defined as unlawful carnal knowledge, and it's wrong. And of course, you can go to prison for the rest of your life. Well, that's 13, right? But when you go further, and if it happens to a child that is between 13 and 16, they trivialize it, in my opinion, because it goes from life imprisonment to only 2 years with Kenny. Does that make sense? It doesn't. So when it comes to our children, the question is, what do we do? How do we protect them? How do we assist them to know that we are not here as parents, as mothers, as fathers, to judge what has happened to them? An opinion poll that was conducted back in 2014, and I can assure you it's no different from what's happening today, indicates that 67% of Nigerians believe that child rape is prevalent. It's very common. They also believe, according to the poll, that they know one in three they know somebody that has been sexually abused. The question is, just like out here, people that have been the victims of such acts are usually very silent. They suffer in silence. My opinion is, once that has happened to a child, if the child doesn't get proper treatment through therapy or through talking to his or her, pastors in church, or get help one way or the other, that child is in life, you might as well have sentenced that child to life imprisonment, because that child really needs help. As parents, as mothers, as fathers, as aunties, as uncles, the question is, how does this occur? And why are we also silent about it? How come we're not paying attention to our children? It goes back to my first quote. We are all busy chasing money. Our priorities are all messed up. Obviously, we also have social and cultural norms that cause people to behave that way. We've talked about early child marriage. It's something that everybody, when you go back to your communities, you need to speak against. You need to stand up. In Nigeria, we've had very, what I call it, prominent cases. Recently, there was a 13 AC Oruru. Some of the Nigerians here probably have heard about her. Some others that are not from Nigeria, you probably wouldn't have. Her name is spelled E-S-E, and I believe her last name is spelled O-R-U-R-U. She's a young girl, 13 years old, that was kidnapped from her state. It's basically saying, you kidnap somebody from California and you bring the person down to New York. And she was supposedly married off. Understand that under Nigerian law, she had no ability to enter into that marital relationship. She was married off to an 18-year-old. It took the parents over 1 year to get their child back. Even at that, it was not an easy feat. So, early child marriage, it's a problem. Christian children that are kidnapped from southern Nigeria to northern Nigeria and taken into these so-called marriages that have been sanctioned by the kings of some communities in northern Nigeria is unacceptable. The good thing is some northern Nigerian emirs, particularly Emir of Kano, Sanusi, has been very, very outspoken. So that has been very, very helpful to the fight against early child marriage. Another issue that is going on in Nigeria regarding sexual abuse of children is the female genital mutilation. How do you do that to a child? All in the name of culture? Maybe it was once a culture, but we all know that culture is not static. Culture was created by all of us, the community, and it's time we stood up against that. That is also a form of child abuse. It's child sexual abuse, particularly to women. Now, in our homes, this is the part that gets me, and this is where I take my reading glasses off. I don't need to look at my notes. In most Nigerian homes, in most African homes, as opposed to what we have here, we have the so-called uncles. We have the aunties that come into the homes, right? We also have the house helps that come into the homes, the nannies. And again, because the parents are not available, we're busy chasing money. Our children are left with people that we don't know anything about. Just like we've been talking about the digital age, I asked myself, digital age, are you going to give a key to a car to a child that is 7 years old and say, you go and drive the vehicle? Are we going to do that? Then we shouldn't, under any circumstances, leave our children at home unattended to people that we don't know. Because we spend so much time outdoors, outside of the homes, we don't pay attention to the children. There was an article I read recently that I will share briefly before getting back to my notes. A young girl came to the mother. Somebody came to fix something in the mom's house, someone that usually, helps in Nigeria. And so the young man started addressing the 4-year-old as his wife. But however, because this mother had spoken to the child that this is unacceptable, and when people start talking to you that way, you need to step aside. The young girl told the person, I'm not your wife, uncle. Don't call me your wife. You can call me your daughter, or you can call me by my name. The mother observed and listened to all this, and when the gentleman had finished whatever he was doing at home and left, the mother pulled the young girl aside and said, why did you say that? And it was okay, because the young girl said, Mom, remember what you told me. Why is he calling me his wife? Today I'm his wife, tomorrow he's going to be looking at me funny. No, I'm not his wife, I'm his daughter. The only way that child would have known what to do under those circumstances, the only reason why that child was not silent is because of the relationship she has with her mother. So I encourage everyone here, mothers, fathers, uncles, pay attention. Because when we are silent, we become enablers. When we are silent, we become enablers. So the question is, what do? We say it's going to be a call to action. What do we do as parents? 1, media. We've talked a lot about media. We've talked a lot about the digital world. Pay attention to what your child is doing. Don't ever let your child lock him or herself up in a room, not knowing what they're doing. Pay attention to what they watch. Secondly, pay attention to those uncles and aunties. Pay attention. Speak up so that the government should change its policies. It's very important. The definition of child sexual abuse. Don't let the police officer or whoever is going to prosecute the case say, oh, the parents do not want to push the case. Push the case. Because when we don't, we're only creating adults that will be troubled in the future. Silence is no longer an option, not for us, and definitely not for our children. Please do not judge the kids. Listen to them. Do not blame them when they become victims. Listen to them. It happens both in the cities, in the rural areas. It happens to the poor. It happens to the rich. It does not discriminate against anybody. Thank you.